Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Podcast and Chill, your favorite place to relax and improve your English. I'm Leo, your cheerful guide, and with me is Gwen, the smartest, calmest person I know.
Greetings, everyone. I'm not sure about being the smartest, but I'll take it, Leo. You're definitely the most energetic person I know.
I'll take that as a compliment. So, Gwen, I've been thinking, have you ever felt overwhelmed by how much there is to learn and how little time there is to do it all? I mean, you're so knowledgeable, so you must spend a lot of time learning, right?
I do feel like that sometimes, and it's a feeling that so many people can relate to. It's because we live in a world where everything is moving fast.
Exactly. People want to learn new skills, pick up new languages, or keep up with changes in technology. But it feels like the more we try, the slower it gets.
That's why the question, how can I learn faster, is so important. No matter if you're preparing for exams, building skills for your job, or picking up something new just for fun, learning how to do it effectively can have a huge impact.
And that's what we're here to talk about today. We're going to explore some simple science-backed ways to make learning faster and easier.
So if you've ever wished for a way to speed things up and feel more confident in your learning, stay tuned. In today's episode, we've prepared a free PDF with tips and resources to help you on your journey. Now, let's get into it. So, Leo, have you ever wondered how our brain actually learns?
Definitely. I've always thought it would be amazing if there was a simple way to get smarter faster.
Well, the brain actually learns better when we repeat things and connect new information to what we already know. It's like building bridges between ideas. The more you repeat something, the stronger the connection becomes.
Like when you keep practicing a song on the guitar until you can play it without thinking.
Great example. It's active learning. When we engage with the material, practice, and try to understand it deeply, it helps our brain keep the information for a longer time. Research shows that active learning techniques can strongly improve how well students learn. A study from Harvard University found that students who used active learning methods scored higher on tests than those who learned through traditional lectures. This means that when students participate actively in their learning, they tend to remember more and understand better.
That's actually positive. Instead of just reading something once and hoping it sticks to our mind, we need to keep going over it, right?
Yes, that's where spaced repetition comes in. Instead of cramming, you can review what you learned at regular intervals, like after a day, then a few days later.
That sounds much better than staying up all night before a test.
Yep, you can use tools like flashcards or apps like Quizlet or Anki to make spaced repetition easier. They help you practice in a smarter way.
So, the key is don't rush it. Being hasty doesn't make you smarter. Review, repeat, and let your brain do its magic.
That is such a nice quote, Leo.
Thank you. Next, let's talk about something we all struggle with, which is staying focused when we study.
That one is so worth discussing, Leo. A lot of people try to study for hours without stopping, but that can actually make them less productive.
I agree. One great tip for learning faster is to study in short, focused sessions.
Yeah. Have you heard of the Pomodoro technique?
Is it the method where one studies for 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break?
Exactly. It's a simple method that can really boost our focus and reduces fatigue. Studies have found that short study sessions are more effective than long, uninterrupted ones. When you take breaks, your brain gets a chance to rest and recharge.
It's like eating a big meal all at once. You might feel sick. But if you eat smaller meals throughout the day, you feel much better.
Overall, Pomodoro technique makes studying feel less overwhelming and more manageable.
So, if you want to learn faster, give the Pomodoro technique a try. Let's take a look at 5 helpful phrases from today's discussion.
Engage with, to actively connect with or involve yourself in something. Example, to learn better, try to engage with the text by asking questions as you read.
Participate in, to take part in an activity or event. Example, If you participate in group discussions, you'll improve your speaking skills faster.
Stick to the mind. Easy to remember. Example. That funny story always sticks to my mind, so I'll never forget it.
Go over something. To review or check something carefully. Example. Before the exam, go over your notes one more time to feel prepared.
Cramming. Trying to learn a lot in a short time, usually before an exam. Example. I didn't study all week, so now I'm cramming the night before the test. Now let's move on to some questions to help you understand today's topic. Question 1. How does the brain learn better? The brain learns better when we repeat things and connect new information to what we already know.
Question 2. What is spaced repetition, and why is it important? Spaced repetition is reviewing information at regular intervals, like after a day or a few days later, instead of cramming all at once. It helps you remember information better. Let's carry on with our discussion. Gwen, I've got a question for you. Do you think there's the most perfect way to learn something?
Nice question, Leo. The answer is no. There's no one-size-fits-all method. But mixing up your learning methods can make a big difference.
Mixing it up? Like how?
Well, instead of just reading a book, try adding other ways to learn. Watch a video, listen to a podcast, or even practice what you've learned in real life.
Like how my friend reads a book to improve his English, but also listens to podcasts, hear how people speak naturally.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Our brain loves variety. When you use different senses like seeing, hearing, or doing, it processes and remembers information faster.
That's so cool. So, reading and watching videos together is better than just one of them?
Right? It's like giving your brain a workout from all angles.
Got it. Now, what about sleep? Everyone says it's important, but does it really help you learn?
Absolutely. Sleep is like a save button for your brain. Neuroscience research reveals that when you sleep, your brain sorts out and stores the things you learned during the day. It's like your brain is organizing its files so you can remember them better later on.
Wow. So if I don't sleep enough, I might forget what I learned?
Exactly. And here's a tip. Studying before bed can help you remember even better.
That's good to know. I'll stop scrolling on my phone late at night and try that instead.
Smart move, Leo. Now, let's talk about curiosity. Do you frequently ask questions while you're learning?
All the time. I can't help it. I'm a curious person.
That's great. Being curious and asking questions makes learning more fun and effective.
Why does that work, though?
Simple. When you're curious, your brain gets excited. Looking for answers keeps your mind active and you remember things better.
So, if I stay curious, I'll enjoy learning more?
You got it right. When you're curious, learning becomes a joy. Learning is just about gaining knowledge and finding answers. It's a refreshing journey of exploring and discovering new things.
I love that. It makes learning feel like an adventure.
It really is. Finally, let's remind our listeners. Try different learning methods, get enough sleep, and stay curious. These simple tips can make a huge difference.
And they're easy to start too. Maybe try one today, like watching a video about something you're learning or going to bed earlier.
Perfect advice, Leo. Learning faster doesn't mean rushing. It's about using your time and energy wisely. Let's all give it a try.
If you have tips or questions about learning faster, let us know in the comments below. Now, let's move on to discuss some useful phrases in today's episode. Carry on. To continue doing something. Example, Lisa carries on working after eating dinner.
Mix up. To combine or change the usual order of things. Example, don't just read textbooks. Mix up your learning by watching videos and listening to podcasts.
Sort out. To organize or solve a problem. Example, after studying all day, my brain needs sleep to sort out everything I learned.
Stay curious. To keep wanting to learn or know more about something. Example, if you stay curious about a topic, you'll enjoy learning it even more.
Give it a try. To try or test something new. Example, I've never used flashcards before, but I'll give it a try to see if they help me remember better. Gwen, let's jump into some questions for our listeners. Question 1. How do you stay curious when learning something new?
That's an important skill to develop. I try to ask myself why or how as much as possible, as it keeps me interested and wanting to dig deeper.
Exactly. And I also try to imagine how I can apply what I'm learning in the real world.
Question 2. How do you deal with distractions when studying or working?
That can be tough. I usually set a timer for 1 hour to stay focused, and I put my phone away during that time.
Good strategy. I also find that listening to calming music or working in a quiet place helps me concentrate better.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on these questions, so feel free to share them with us in the comments. All right, that's the end for today's episode of Podcast and Chill.
We hope you find these science-backed tips useful. Keep it in mind that learning doesn't have to be perfect. It's about trying, exploring, and improving little by little.
If you're ready to start using these tips, or if you have any questions, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to grab the free PDF with all the key tips and ideas from today's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We believe in you, and we'll see you in the next episode of Podcast and Chill. Welcome back to another episode of Chill. I'm Gwen, your friendly guide to all things English.
And I'm Leo, ready to make this learning journey a little more fun and less stressful. All right, let's be real. Gwen, why do people struggle with English?
Oh, where do we even start? Spelling, grammar, pronunciation? It's like English wants to keep you guessing.
Exactly. Like, why is night spelled without a K? What is the K even doing there, taking a nap?
And idioms, it's raining cats and dogs. Imagine someone new to English picturing that. They'd think we're like pets running away in a storm.
True. English definitely has a playful side, but it's not all bad.
With this information, can you guess today's topic, listeners? All right, today's episode is all about a question that a lot of people ask. Is English really that hard to learn?
I love this topic because, trust me, I get asked this a lot by learners who feel like English is a mountain to climb. But today, we'll talk about why English might seem difficult and how to make it a bit easier.
Yeah, and don't worry. We'll also throw in some cool tips, some laughs, and maybe even a few fun examples. Right, Leo?
Absolutely, let's start.
So, first things first. Why do some people find English difficult? I think one of the biggest reasons is the grammar rules. English has a lot of rules, but also exceptions to those rules.
Yeah, it's like being told you're safe, and then bam, something unexpected happens. For example, we have those words like there, and there. They sound the same, but they're used in different ways.
Exactly. The rules are tricky, and then there's pronunciation.
English is notorious for having words that are spelled one way, but pronounced in a completely different way. Take though, for example.
Ah, yes, though, is a real tricky one. It's pronounced like T-H-O-H, the-O, but you'd think it would sound like T-H-O, the-O. There's no logic to that.
English loves to play tricks on us. And another thing people struggle with is the meaning of words, right?
A word can change depending on its context. For example, bank can mean a place where you keep your money, or it could mean the side of a river.
So if I say, I went to the bank, you better ask me which kind. It's all about the context, right?
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges. But Leo, do you think English is actually harder than other languages? Just share your own thoughts.
Great question. Actually, English is often easier than many other languages. For example, in French and German, the verb system is much more complicated. There are a lot more verb tenses and conjugations, which means you have to memorize a lot more rules.
So you're telling me English is like a vacation compared to those?
Yes, for me it is. And when it comes to sentence structure, English is pretty straightforward. In French or Spanish, for example, you have to deal with gendered nouns and more complex word orders. But in English, it's mostly subject-verb-object.
It's simpler than it seems. And don't forget, English is spoken everywhere. This makes it easier to find resources to practice. Whether it's watching movies, listening to music, or finding free learning tools online, there's always something to help you improve.
That's so true. English is spoken all over the world, so you can hear it in many accents and situations, which helps you understand it better. You can find more podcasts with diverse topics on our channel, or find any movie you like with subtitles. Okay, let's get into a few more specific struggles that learners face. What do you think, Gwen? One major challenge is vocabulary. English has so many synonyms, right?
Yeah, like you have big, large, huge, giant, and many others. They mean almost the same thing but are used in different situations. This can be confusing for learners.
Oh, yes. I'm still trying to figure out when to use huge instead of big. And then there are homophones, which are words that sound the same but have different meanings, like flower and flower.
And you also have pronunciation differences depending on the accent. For example, Americans say schedule with a SK sound, while British people say it with a SH sound.
Wow, it's like learning two languages in one, right? The accents can really throw you off.
Definitely. And don't even get me started on idioms and phrasal verbs. These can be confusing, especially if you're translating them word by word. For example, hit the nail on the head doesn't have anything to do with nails or heads. It means to say something exactly right.
And the classic one, break a leg. I mean, who would ever say that to someone if you don't know the meaning? But in English, it means good luck.
Now let's learn some new phrases today to understand the topic more.
You can take your own example on each phrase and share with other listeners in the comment section.
First up, we have take a nap. To sleep for a short period of time during the day. For example, I think I'll take a nap after lunch.
Yeah, rain cats and dogs is the next phrase to learn. To rain very heavily. On rainy day, we can't go out. It's raining cats and dogs, right?
For sure, because I don't want to get wet. Please take a look at keep someone guessing. To make something unclear or uncertain. For example, the mystery novel kept me guessing until the very end.
That's interesting. Now, let's learn throw in. To add something extra, often to make things more fun or interesting. It's like, we've thrown in some cool tips to help you learn English.
Then, we have another phrase with throw, that is, throw someone off. To confuse someone, some new rules may throw us off at first.
Now, practice with some questions below to see how well you understand the topic. I want to see your answer.
Just put your answer in the comment section. Let's answer the first question. How do you handle synonyms in English?
Can I answer this question?
Why not?
I use context and examples to understand when to use synonyms.
Excellent. Now we have the second question. How do accents change how words sound?
Let me see. Accents like American versus British cause differences in pronunciation, such as schedule.
Good job, Leo. Listeners, I really want to see your answer in the comment section.
Okay, let's get back to the topic. The next thing we share today is about why it's worth learning English. Gwen, what do you think?
For starters, it's the language of the internet. Over 60% of the world's websites are in English, according to a study by W3 Techs. That means knowing English gives you access to an incredible amount of information and entertainment.
Absolutely. And here's another reason, job opportunities. Research published by EF Education First found that employees with strong English skills earn, on average, 34% more than their peers who don't. It's not just about finding a job, it's about creating options for yourself.
And let's not forget about working with international teams. Imagine this, a project involving people from Brazil, Germany, and Japan. What's the common language?
English, right?
Exactly. That's why companies like Microsoft and Samsung require their employees to use English as the primary language for collaboration.
And what about travel?
English is spoken in over 100 countries, according to Ethnologue, and even in places where it's not the official language, it's often the second language people learn. It's like carrying a universal passport.
Plus, knowing English helps you connect with people on a deeper level. Instead of just pointing at a menu or using hand signals, you can have real conversations and build meaningful connections.
I agree. That's a typical example. Only if we were in that situation did we realize the importance of learning English.
All right, I think listeners want to learn some tips to learn English now.
Okay, let's give our listeners some pro tips to make learning English easier. Tip 1: Immerse yourself. Watch shows, listen to music, or even set your phone to English. Make it a part of your daily life.
I couldn't agree more. Don't fall into the imaginary trap you created. Don't just watch a few episodes and feel better than before. Only when you make it a habit will you truly improve.
Yes, and don't be afraid to mimic. Copy how native speakers talk. It's a great way to learn pronunciation and rhythm.
You should also focus on phrases, not just words. Learn things like, how's it going, instead of just how and go.
What a practical tip. Also, try practicing every day, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. In addition, don't fear mistakes. They're part of the process.
Absolutely, every mistake means you're learning. When I started learning English, I once said, I am onion, instead of, I am on it. Everyone laughed, but I never forgot the right phrase after that.
Yep, you should celebrate your progress. Even understanding this podcast means you're improving. So, keep going. Learning English might be a challenge, but it's one worth taking on.
Last but not least, don't give up. Every small step brings you closer to your bigger goals. Why not start right now? Pick one of the tips we shared today and give it a try. All right, Gwen, I think it's time to go over some key vocabulary from today's discussion.
Sure, Leo. Let's make sure our listeners understand these phases clearly. The first phrase is on a deeper level. Like what we've shared before, talking in someone's native language lets you connect with them on a deeper level.
I agree. Now we have immerse oneself. Surround yourself fully in an activity. You can immerse yourself in English by watching English shows daily.
Yep, that's a good way to learn. Let's move on to the next phrase. Make something a habit. Do something regularly until it becomes natural. Our listeners will improve faster if they make speaking English a habit.
That's right. Next, can you guess the meaning of fall into, listeners? Get caught in a mistake or problem without realizing it.
And the last phrase to learn is worth taking on. Valuable or rewarding to try. Learning English is challenging but worth taking on.
Now, let's ask our listeners a few questions, Gwen.
Sure, your turn.
All right, how do you celebrate your learning progress?
I celebrate by treating myself to something I enjoy and noting small achievements, like learning a new phrase or having a good conversation.
Wow, for me, I will go to bed immediately to celebrate.
You're always like this, Leo.
All right, second question. Can you think of a mistake you made while learning?
Yes, I once said, "Can you advise me?" instead of, "Can you give me advice?" It was a bit embarrassing, but it helped me remember the difference between advice, which is a noun, and advise, which is a verb.
Such a practical case. Listeners, don't forget to share your answer.
So, is English hard to learn?
Sure, it's a bit of a puzzle, but with the right tools, it's a puzzle you can solve. You know, nothing is easy. By trying, we can achieve what we want.
Yeah, I think we've had a great talk today.
Yes, Gwen, we talked about many things about learning English. I hope our beloved listeners find this episode useful.
Me too. Thanks for hanging out with us today on Podcast and Chill, listeners. Stay curious, stay confident, and keep learning.
We'll see you next time. And hey, keep practicing. English has nothing on you.
So, Leo, when we talk about perfection in language, what does that really mean?
Well, some people think it means speaking without any mistakes,
Like what?
like using perfect grammar, choosing the right words, and having no pronunciation errors.
Can you give me an example?
Let's say someone is trying to order food in English at a restaurant.
Uh huh.
They might think they need to order perfectly, without mixing up words or hesitating.
Like, could I please have the grilled chicken sandwich without mayonnaise?
Yes, that's true.
Right. But in real life, even native speakers don't always say everything perfectly.
So, what do they say?
They might say, can I get, uh, the chicken sandwich?
And, oh, and no mayo, please.
I must admit, I do that very often.
Right?
And guess what? The waiter still understands me. However, many people are worried about being perfect when they speak English.
Agreed. Especially new learners.
And that's the problem. When people think they have to be perfect, they get more nervous.
And that fear can stop them from speaking at all.
Yeah, and that's not fun.
Right? But here's the thing. No one speaks perfectly all the time, even in their own language.
That's true. I make mistakes in English, and it's my first language.
Exactly. And think about it. When you're talking with someone, do you really care if they make some mistakes?
Not at all. I care about what they're saying, not how they're saying it.
That's the thing. Language is about communication, not perfection.
Yes, even if you make mistakes, people can still understand you. And that's what really matters.
I couldn't agree more. Just the other day, a friend said, I want to buy some rye. But they meant rice.
That's a good one. But you knew what they meant, right?
Absolutely. We both laughed, and I knew they were talking about rice.
Your example reminds me of this one time. I told my friend, he and me went to the store. It should have been, he and I went to the store.
Let me guess, your friend still understood what you meant?
Exactly. The important part is the message, not the mistake.
And mistakes aren't just okay, they're a part of learning.
Oh, definitely. No one speaks a language perfectly from the start. Even native speakers learn and grow over time.
That's so true. I mean, think about it. When kids learn to talk, they make tons of mistakes, right?
Oh, yes, they say things like, I eated, instead of I ate.
Right. But do we stop them? No. We just help them learn.
Exactly. And it's the same for anyone learning a new language.
So, my dear listeners, if you're worried about making mistakes, don't be. It's all part of the process.
So, next time you're speaking English, just focus on sharing your thoughts. Don't stress about getting every detail right.
So, go out there, speak with confidence, and remember, communication is key.
And if you make a mistake, just laugh it off and keep going. We're all learning together.
Exact. Definition. Perfectly correct or accurate. Example. Please give me the exact amount of money. Nervous. Definition. Feeling worried or uneasy. Example. She was nervous before her big test. Communication. Definition. The way people share information with each other. Example. Good communication helps us understand each other better. Process. Definition. A series of actions or steps to achieve something. Example. The process of making a cake includes mixing ingredients and baking. Focus. Definition. To give your full attention to something. Example. Please focus on the task and don't get distracted. Question 1. Why is it important to focus on communication rather than perfection when you speak English? Answer. It's okay to make mistakes when you speak English. The most important thing is to talk and communicate. People can understand you even if you make mistakes. Question 2. How can the fear of making mistakes stop people from learning? Answer. If you're afraid to make mistakes, You might not want to talk. It's okay to make mistakes. Talking is the best way to learn a language. Some people say it's easier for kids or young learners to make mistakes
Why's that?
because they aren't afraid of being embarrassed, and people usually don't judge kids.
Well, I think that applies to adults too.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. I'm thinking of a famous person. English isn't his first language, but he didn't let mistakes hold him back.
Who do you have in mind?
Well, do you know Jackie Chan?
Of course I do. I adore him and his movies.
Have you ever heard Jackie Chan speak English in interviews?
Of course. I've watched a lot of his interviews. They're so funny.
I know, right? He's always been so hilarious.
Now that you mention him, how about we watch one of his interviews?
Sure, why not?
I'm very surprised. You know, as soon as I get to the Turkey, everybody, Jackie Chan, Jackie Chan. Oh, everybody know me. I'm so happy when I go back to the hotel, open the TV.
Ja.
That's my movie.
Wahnsinn. In der Türkei, im Fernsehen, Jackie Chan.
And Jackie Chan speak Turkey.
Ja. That's great.
And just okay. Then I said, oh, okay. Really? Then I look at, me speak Turkey, Turkey. Then the girl, actress, speak Turkey too.
Yeah.
But it's one person. And then the police coming.
Yeah.
The police coming. The same people.
Yeah.
The whole movie. One people do everything. But I think he's very tired.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know he's no exciting at all. You know the people dubbing it. Hello, I love you. You love me? Okay, let's kiss. Okay. No, you just watch the whole movie. Fighting. Okay. See you tomorrow. Hello, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine. No,
That was a good one.
Right? Jackie Chan was so charming, even when his English wasn't perfect.
That's true. He had a very strong accent and sometimes made grammar mistakes. But it didn't stop him from connecting with people.
Wait, did he make grammar mistakes?
Yes, he made a few.
Oh, I was so into his story that I completely ignored the grammar rules.
He said things like, everybody know me, Jackie Chan speak Turkey, and me speak Turkey. And he also said, one people do everything. But you see, you didn't even notice and still enjoyed his story.
You're right. I was busy laughing. Not at his grammar mistakes, but at his hilarious story.
Exactly. And his fans love him, not because he's perfect at English. They love him for his talent and humor.
He's a great example of how making mistakes can actually make you more relatable. I think that's a big lesson for all of us.
You don't have to be perfect to be understood or to connect with others.
Absolutely. I remember watching him on a talk show. He was struggling a bit with some words, but the audience loved him even more for it.
And what's interesting is that even though he made mistakes, he kept going. He didn't let it stop him.
That's such a good point. He focused on the message, not the mistakes.
Exactly. And that's what we should all do.
If someone like Jackie Chan can do it, we can too.
I love that. And it's not just about famous people. Think about times when you've spoken with someone whose English wasn't perfect. Did it really matter?
Not at all. I remember once, a tourist asked me for directions. They mixed up some words, but I still understood what they needed.
See? The message came through, and that's what matters.
So, to our listeners, think about a time when you spoke English with grammar mistakes. Did the other person understand you anyway?
I bet they did. And that's the point. Communication is about getting your message across, not about being perfect.
And remember, we're all human. We all make mistakes, even in our native languages.
So, don't be afraid to speak up. Even if your English isn't perfect, your voice still matters.
And sometimes, those little mistakes can make your conversation more memorable.
Exactly. Like how we remember Jackie Chan's interviews. They're charming because they're real.
That's right. And it's those real human moments that connect us to each other.
So, whether you're talking to a friend or giving a presentation, focus on your message.
And don't worry if it's not perfect. Just like Jackie Chan, keep going and stay confident.
But Leo, let's admit that it's not easy.
What is not easy?
Overcoming the fear of being imperfect when speaking English.
No worries, I have some helpful tips.
Tell me, Leo.
First up, let's talk about focusing on fluency instead of perfection.
What is fluency, Leo?
It's the ability to speak or write a language easily, well, and quickly.
That sounds like perfection to me.
Not at all. Fluency is all about getting your ideas out there smoothly. You speak without stopping too much to think about every little word.
I see. But why should we focus on fluency?
Let me give you an example. Do you ride a bike, Gwen?
Yes, I do.
Think of it like riding a bike. When you first start, it's easy to fall, right? But the more you practice, the smoother the ride becomes.
Oh, I see what you mean here.
Great. So just like with biking, if you focus on each step too much, you might lose your balance and fall. But if you focus on just moving forward, you'll get better over time,
I know. It took me quite a while to figure that out.
right? Even if you wobble a bit, you're still moving forward. That's what counts. So guys, instead of worrying about every little mistake, just keep talking. The more you talk, the more fluent you'll become.
All right, Leo, it's easier said than done. How can we become fluent?
There are many ways, but one great tip is to practice speaking regularly.
So, just talk and talk without worrying too much about mistakes?
Yes, it's that simple. Just like anything else, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Who can they talk to? An English teacher?
Pretty much anyone. You can talk to friends, practice in front of a mirror, or even chat with yourself while cooking dinner.
Now that sounds easier. But let's admit it can be tiring at first.
That's why I'm about to share with you this tip.
What tip?
The tip on how to get motivated.
What is that? Spill it, Leo.
It's taking one step at a time and celebrating those small improvements.
How small are you thinking of?
Well, it can be simply a new word. Did you learn a new word today? Celebrate that. Did you have a conversation in English without getting too nervous? That's a win.
I see. It's important to recognize your progress.
Yes, no matter how small it seems.
Got it. Each step forward is a step closer to your goal.
And remember, everyone's learning journey is different. You don't have to compare yourself to anyone else.
That's so true. Some people learn faster, some slower. But the important thing is that you're learning.
And that's something to be proud of.
So, our dear listeners, take it easy on yourself. Focus on fluency. Practice regularly.
And don't forget to celebrate your progress.
Connect. Definition: to join or link things together. Example: we can connect the computer to the printer. Notice. Definition: to see or become aware of something. Example: did you notice the new painting on the wall? Matter. Definition: to be important or have significance. Example: it doesn't matter if you're late, just arrive safely. Confident. Definition: feeling sure about your abilities. Example: she feels confident about giving the speech. Progress. Definition: moving forward or improving. Example: he is making good progress in learning English. What happens when people focus too much on being perfect while speaking? Answer: they might become more nervous and stop speaking altogether. How can small improvements be celebrated while learning a language? Answer: small improvements can be celebrated by recognizing achievements like learning new words or speaking without too much nervousness. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Remember, you don't need to be perfect when speaking English.
Exactly. Focus on fluency and practice often.
And don't forget to celebrate those small victories along the way.
We hope you feel more confident when you speak English.
And always remember, learning is a journey, not a race. So, take your time and enjoy the process.
If you've got any questions or topics you want us to cover, just send us a message. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, keep practicing and stay positive.
And don't worry about being perfect. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Podcast and Chill, your favorite spot to relax and learn English. And as always, I'm joined by the brilliant Gwen. How's it going, Gwen?
I'm good, Leo. But why do you always introduce me like I'm your boss?
Well, you do have that boss energy. Anyway, let's talk about today's episode.
Okay, but before that, Leo, why are you smiling like that?
Oh, nothing. I just thought of how you always call me childish.
Because you are. You laugh at your own jokes, Leo.
Well, being like a baby isn't bad at all. Did you know there's even a method for learning languages called learning like a baby?
That's true. Babies learn naturally by listening, imitating, and interacting.
Exactly. Babies are incredible learners. But here's a question. Can we use this method to learn English as adults?
That's a great point, Leo. Today, we'll explore if and how this natural way of learning can help us improve our English skills.
And to all our listeners out there, we've got practical tips and examples ready for you.
Don't forget to grab the free PDF in the description below to follow along with today's episode.
So, sit back, relax, and let's answer that question together. Can we really learn English like a baby? So, Gwen, let's break this down. What does it actually mean to learn English like a baby?
It means learning naturally, just like how babies learn their first language, by listening, mimicking, and interacting.
That makes sense. Babies don't sit down with grammar books or vocabulary lists, right?
Exactly. Instead, they absorb language by hearing it repeatedly in everyday situations. For example, they hear mama and dada countless times before they start saying the words themselves.
Right. They learn by associating words with actions, objects, or emotions. I read a study from MIT that says babies spend up to 60% of their waking hours just listening to sounds around them.
That's fascinating. It shows how much listening plays a key role in language learning. And for English learners, listening is the first step, too.
True. You can listen to podcasts, watch simple videos, or even just hear daily conversations. The key is to expose yourself to the language as much as possible.
Absolutely. Another thing babies do is mimic sounds and words they hear.
Yes. They don't worry about saying it perfectly, they just try. And over time, their pronunciation naturally improves.
There's this cool technique called shadowing that learners can use.
Oh, I've heard of that. It's when you repeat what you hear right after a native speaker, like an echo.
Exactly. Shadowing helps you get better at pronunciation, rhythm, and even confidence in speaking.
That's such a baby-like way of learning. Just repeat, repeat, repeat.
Definitely. Babies also rely a lot on context to understand what words mean.
Right? For example, when someone points to a ball and says ball, the baby connects the sound with the object.
Learners can do the same. Try to guess the meaning of new words from the situation instead of translating everything.
Yes, like when you watch a show and someone says, "I'm starving," while holding their stomach, you know they're hungry.
Context makes learning feel more natural.
Exactly. And when you learn naturally, it's less stressful and more fun.
Another great way to use shadowing is with audiobooks or podcasts. For example, you can listen to a short sentence, pause, and then repeat it out loud, imitating the tone and rhythm.
That's a fantastic idea. And if you're nervous, start with simple sentences like, "How are you?" or "I'm fine, thank you." Oh, and songs. Singing along to English songs is like shadowing, but more fun.
Absolutely. Try singing the chorus of your favorite song. It helps with pronunciation and rhythm.
Another trick is to watch videos with subtitles in English. Listen to how the words are pronounced and repeat them right after the speaker.
This helps you connect the written word with its sound and meaning. Plus, you can practice at your own pace by pausing and replaying whenever you need.
Shadowing doesn't just improve pronunciation, it builds confidence. When you hear yourself speaking like a native speaker, it's super motivating.
And remember, repetition is key. The more you repeat, the better you'll get.
That's true for babies and adults alike. Speaking of shadowing, there are some fantastic YouTube channels that can help you practice this method. If you want us to recommend specific channels for shadowing, let us know in the comments.
We'll be happy to share our favorite resources and help you get started on your shadowing journey.
Let's take a look at 5 helpful phrases from today's discussion.
Breakdown. To explain something step by step or in simple terms. Example, let me break down the process so it's easier to understand.
Pick up. To learn something new, often by observing or practicing. Example, you can pick up a lot of new words just by watching movies.
Mimic. To copy the way someone speaks or behaves. Example, children often mimic the way their parents talk.
Figure out. To understand or find the answer to something by thinking or observing. Example, you can figure out the meaning of a word by looking at how it's used in a sentence.
Repetition. Doing something over and over to improve. Example, repetition is key to mastering pronunciation in English.
Now let's move on to some questions to help you understand today's topic. Question 1. How can shadowing help improve your English?
Shadowing trains your ear to recognize native-like pronunciation and helps build speaking confidence.
Question 2. Why is repetition important in language learning?
Repetition helps you remember new words and phrases, making them easier to use in conversation.
What about you? Which method do you think works best for learning English?
Let us know in the comments below. Now let's take a moment to talk about something that holds many learners back: the fear of making mistakes.
That fear is so common, but it's also one of the biggest obstacles to progress.
I totally agree. Many learners are afraid of speaking because they think they'll sound silly or be judged.
Yes, and that fear can make them avoid speaking altogether, which is a missed opportunity to improve.
A specific example is pronunciation. Many learners hesitate to say words because they're not sure if they're pronouncing them correctly.
Right, and here's the thing. Native speakers usually don't care about perfect pronunciation. What they care about is understanding you and connecting with you.
Exactly. Instead of worrying about saying a word perfectly, focus on getting your message across.
A great way to overcome this fear is to practice speaking with supportive people.
Like friends, language partners, or even joining a speaking club. Another example is writing. Some learners avoid it because they're afraid of making grammar mistakes.
And guess what? Writing helps you notice patterns in the language and improve faster.
I saw a study from Cambridge University that found learners who embrace their mistakes tend to retain information better. It's because mistakes give you a chance to fix and remember things more deeply.
Let's not forget, every mistake you make is proof that you're trying, and trying is how you improve. Think of it this way: when babies learn to walk, they fall down hundreds of times.
But they don't give up. They just get back up and try again. Don't be afraid to stumble in English. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this mistake?
And celebrate the fact that you're learning something new,
Another great thing about babies is how much they repeat things.
right? They'll say the same word or phrase over and over until it sticks.
And repetition works for adults too. For example, practice saying, "How are you?" and "I'm fine, thank you," until it feels natural.
You can also use repetition with shadowing.
Like we mentioned earlier, try repeating after podcasts, audiobooks, or even songs.
Did you know that repetition also strengthens your brain?
That's true. Neuroscience research shows that repeating actions or words creates stronger neural connections, making it easier to remember. Another tip is immersion. Surround yourself with English through daily activities,
For example, set your phone or computer language to English.
or join online communities where people only communicate in English. Immersion helps you think in English instead of translating from your native language.
Another fun fact: children learn faster when they feel relaxed and happy.
That's why making learning enjoyable is so important for adults too.
Yes. Try watching comedy shows or listening to funny podcasts. It makes the process so much more enjoyable.
The more fun you have, the more likely you are to stick with it. Remember, learning English like a baby isn't just a technique, it's a mindset.
So, take small steps, enjoy the process, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. If you have tips or questions about learning English, let us know in the comments below. Gwen, let's highlight 5 useful phrases from today's discussion. Overcome fear, to successfully deal with or control your fear. Example: practicing with a friend can help you overcome fear of speaking English.
Get your message across. To make people understand what you're trying to say. Example: even if your grammar isn't perfect, focus on getting your message across.
Embrace mistakes, to accept your mistakes as part of the learning process. Example: when you embrace mistakes, you learn faster and feel more confident.
Supportive environment, a place or group of people that encourages and helps you. Example: joining a supportive environment like a language club can make learning more enjoyable.
Take it one step at a time. To focus on doing one small thing at a time instead of trying to do everything at once. Example: if you feel overwhelmed by learning English, take it one step at a time. Gwen, let's jump into some questions for our listeners. Question 1. How can embracing mistakes help you in learning English?
That's a good question.
Well, I think it's because mistakes show us what we need to work on. And honestly, not being afraid of making them makes learning fun.
Agreed. Plus, every mistake you make is an opportunity to improve.
Question 2. What's one small step you can take today to improve your English?
For me, it's practicing one sentence out loud every day.
That's a good one. I think listening to a short podcast or a song could be another easy step. And what about our listeners? What's your small step for today?
Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your ideas.
All right, that's it for today's episode of Podcast and Chill.
We hope you're excited to try learning English like a baby, listening, mimicking, and embracing mistakes.
Remember, babies don't worry about getting everything perfect. They just try. And that's what helps them grow.
If you're ready to start shadowing or want tips to create your own English environment, let us know in the comments.
Don't forget to check out the free PDF with all the key phrases and tips from today's episode.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode of Podcast and Chill.
Keep learning, stay curious, and remember, learning like a baby is the most natural way to grow. It's another great day with the Learn English podcast channel. My name is Leo, not the zodiac sign, and next to me is Gwen, our calm co-host.
Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoy listening to our talk. Our Podcast and Chill episode today is about something really important in learning English. Can you guess what it is, Leo?
I don't know. Maybe listening?
Not quite, but it's also needed for listening.
Let me think.
Here's a hint. To listen well in English, you need to know a lot of words.
Oh, I know. Is it vocabulary?
Exactly. We know some of our listeners find it hard to build vocabulary. In today's episode, we'll share simple but helpful tips to learn new words.
And guess what? We have a free PDF for this episode full of vocabulary and learning tips. Are you ready? Let's begin. If you've been learning English for a while, you might wonder, why is learning new words so hard?
That's actually common among English beginners. The first reason is a lot of people just memorize words. They think, I'll learn a bunch of words quickly. But the problem is, if you don't use them, you'll forget them.
Also, some people feel shy or afraid to make mistakes when using new words. They worry they'll say the wrong thing, so they don't try.
Some even feel like they're just stuck using the same words again and again.
It often happens because they focus mostly on grammar. Vocabulary practice gets left behind.
And not knowing enough words can be a big problem in real life. Imagine, for example, you're traveling abroad. You want to order food, but you don't know the words on the menu. It feels frustrating, maybe even embarrassing.
Yes, or let's say you're in a meeting at work. Everyone's speaking fast, using business words you don't understand. That can make you feel nervous or unsure about speaking up. It's totally normal to feel unsure when you don't know the right words.
Absolutely. In our next part, we'll share some simple tips to grow your vocabulary.
First up, start with what you already know. Learning new words can be difficult, but it's easier if you start with words you already know.
That's right. Begin with familiar words and try to add from there. Let's say you already know the word happy. From there, you can learn similar words like joyful and cheerful. This way, you're connecting new words with something you already understand.
It's like building blocks. The more you add, the stronger your vocabulary gets. Plus, it helps you use the words in the right situations.
So, always start with what you know and slowly expand.
Next tip, read more often. Reading is one of the best ways to grow your vocabulary.
Yes, and you don't need to read hard books. Choose things that are right for your level so you don't feel lost. It can be anything from short stories to news or blog posts.
Set aside just 10 minutes a day for reading. This small habit can make a big difference. You'll see new words in context and understand how they're used.
And don't forget, if you find new words, write them down. You can look them up later and try to use them in your own sentences. Now, here's another important tip. Learn words in context. Memorizing a list of words is hard, but when you learn them in context, it's easier to remember and use them correctly.
What do we mean by context?
Well, it's about learning words as they come up in situations or stories. For example, let's say you're reading a story about cooking. You might learn words like stir, chop, and boil, because they're all part of cooking.
Instead of just memorizing the word boil alone, you see it in a sentence. Like, she boiled water to make pasta. Now you understand what it means and how to use it.
So learning in context helps because you get a full picture of the word, not just its meaning. You see how it fits into real situations.
And don't just read, watch conversation videos or listen to podcasts. These help you hear how words are used in real conversations. For example, you can check out Learn English with Jessica or English Speaking course on YouTube. They offer great content that uses everyday language.
Also, follow along with transcripts. It's easier to learn a word if you hear it and see it written at the same time. For example, let's say you're listening to a podcast or watching a video with English subtitles. You hear the speaker say, "The weather is beautiful today." Now, you see each word written on the screen, and you hear how it's said. You can repeat what they say, like, "The weather is beautiful today," and try using it in your own sentence. For example, "The weather is beautiful in my city."
That's the idea. Hearing it, seeing it, and then using it yourself helps keep the word in your memory. So, try it out. Find some audio with a transcript or subtitles, Follow along and start practicing. It can help you improve a lot. Let's go through some vocabulary relevant to today's topic. Expand. Meaning, to make something bigger or to grow. Example, reading books can expand your vocabulary. News article. Meaning, a piece of writing in a newspaper, magazine, or website about daily events. Example, I am reading a news article about animals in Africa. Situation. Meaning, the way things are at a certain time or place, what is happening. Example, in a crowded situation, you should speak clearly. Look something up. Meaning, to search for information about something. Example, if you don't know a word, look it up in the dictionary. Mimic. Meaning, to copy how someone else speaks or acts. Example, she mimics her teacher to practice English pronunciation. Why is it important to learn vocabulary in context?
Learning vocabulary in context is like learning a word's personality. It helps you understand how the word fits in different situations. This makes it easier to remember and use the word correctly, just like you remember a friend's habit.
How can speaking English help you practice and learn new words?
Speaking English helps you remember new words better because you use them in real life. You can also hear feedback from others, helping you fix mistakes and learn better.
Using flashcards and apps is also a good way to learn new words. Flashcards are a simple but powerful tool. Write the new word on one side and the meaning on the other. Then, test yourself.
Let's say you're learning the word excited. On one side of the flashcard, you write excited, and on the other side you write feeling happy and full of energy. Then, whenever you have a few minutes, maybe while waiting for the bus or during a break, you can pull out your flashcards. Check the other side to see if you got it right.
And if you like technology, there are great vocabulary apps like Anki and Quizlet. These apps make learning more fun with games and quizzes so you don't get bored.
Yeah, apps make it easy to learn anytime. Plus, you can use them anywhere, on the bus, during lunch, or before bed.
Yeah, I love how easy they are to use. Next up, let's talk about practicing speaking and writing. Learning words isn't just about memorizing them. You need to use them in real life. Try using new words in your daily conversations. Don't worry about making mistakes. It's part of the learning process.
For example, you just learned the word delicious. You could practice by using it in your daily conversations. If you're eating a meal, you might say, "This pizza is delicious." Or if you're at home and there's no one around, you can still practice.
Just talk to yourself. You could say, "My coffee tastes delicious today," even if you're the only one listening. It still counts as practice.
And here's another tip: keep a journal. Write down new words and make sentences with them. This way, you're not just memorizing, you're using them in writing.
That's a great idea. Speaking and writing make the words stick better. Now for our last tip, review and repeat. Learning vocabulary isn't something you do only once. You need to review new words often. The more you see the words, the easier they are to remember.
And it's easy to forget them if you don't review often. Set aside a few minutes each day to go over the words you've learned. You could even make it part of your daily routine, like while you're having breakfast or before you sleep.
Another idea is to set reminders on your phone. Little alerts can help you remember to review during the day.
Yes, review is the secret to long-term memory. Let's go through some vocabulary relevant to today's topic. Actively, meaning doing something with a lot of energy and effort. Example, she listens actively in class to understand everything better. Memorize, meaning to learn something so you can remember it without looking at it. Example, he tries to memorize the lyrics of his favorite song. Mistakes, meaning things done in the wrong way or something incorrect. Example, my friend made a few mistakes on her test. Journal, meaning a notebook where people write down their thoughts, ideas, or daily events. Example, Jake writes in his journal every evening about his day. Review, meaning to look at something again to remember or check it. Example, she reviewed her notes before the test. Why is it important to use new words in sentences when learning them? It helps you understand what they mean and how to use them right. When you practice using new words in your own writing, you're more likely to remember them later. How does keeping a journal help with remembering new words? A journal is a place to write down new words, their meanings, and examples. This helps you learn the words better because you're writing them down and reviewing them. Vocabulary building is a journey, but with these tips, it doesn't have to be hard.
Yep, just a little bit of effort each day will make a big difference over time.
We hope these tips help you improve your vocabulary. Don't forget to check out our free PDF with vocabulary and tips in the description or comments.
Thanks for joining us today.
We hope you find these tips helpful and fun.
Goodbye, and see you in our next episodes.